Now at noon, a huge bond for the man blamed for causing a weekend Amber Alert. We are in court for his face-off with the judge. And a winter storm slams into the Northeast and thousands are still without power. Today is the end for the DACA program, and while there is still no deal to protect the Dreamers, the White House says they are not in danger.
9 on your side starts now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Ryan Houston. 3 days after being accused of stealing an SUV with 3 young kids inside and causing an Amber Alert, Howard Mullis was in court for the first time. A very high bond was set. 9 on your side reporter TJ Parker reports from the Hamilton County Justice Center.
Howard Mullis appeared before a judge for the first time this morning. He's accused of kidnapping 3 young children in Colerain Township over the weekend. He is now charged with kidnapping and theft.
My kids! He stole my car! My kids are in the car! Please! I got 3 kids in that car!
A frantic 911 call from the father of 3 young children kidnapped in the car they were sitting in outside this convenience store on West Galbraith in Colerain Township on Saturday. Police say 33-year-old Howard Mullis was behind the wheel. They tell 9 on your side the father of the kids went inside the store, left the car running with the kids inside when Mullis jumped in and drove off. People who were there say another man in the parking lot saw what was happening and told the kids' father to get in, and they chased Mullis until they eventually lost him. It wasn't until 2.5 hours later when the kids in the SUV were found about a mile away on Colerain Avenue, but no Mullis. He was eventually found, though, in some nearby woods.
The defendant fled at a high rate of speed, passing other vehicles left of center, running red lights, and driving on the sidewalk. The victim, who was giving chase, terminated the pursuit for fear his children would be hurt.
Police say the kids weren't hurt. Mullis's bond is set at $925,000. Reporting at the Justice Center, I'm TJ Parker, 9 on your side.
New at noon, we're learning more about the teen shot and killed in Evanston Friday night. Grief counselors are at Purcell Marion today. 17-year-old Gregory Thompson Jr. was a student at the East Walnut Hills School. Police say they found him dead Friday inside a house on Wabash Avenue. Speaking just about 2 hours ago, the principal told us Thompson had made an impact on everyone in the building.
Truly, he built relationships with the adults. Our adults are as sad for our students as they can be, but they're also very sad for themselves because a very real relationship was formed with Greg through this time. And I can speak for myself and say, yeah, I miss the kid tremendously already.
Thompson had just transferred to Purcell this year, but his family has close ties to the Archdiocese. His mom is principal at St. Joseph School. Well, switching gears a bit in weather today, Sherry, I brought out my big coat today.
Ryan, you told me, yeah, it's not that cold, my friend. It really isn't, all things put into perspective. But we've got a lot of clouds out there. If you'll switch prompter for me, please, sir. We've got a lot of clouds, and that's keeping our temperatures down just a bit. And we're finding some showers ahead of this warm boundary. That's really going to help us out tomorrow as we'll see some much warmer air. But we'll also see some of that rain that's propagating along or ahead of that boundary overnight, mainly late evening overnight. Then we're going to deal with this cold front, which will take us back into winter and may even give us a little wintry precipitation. It's not going to be a big deal, so forget about what you heard. Okay, temperature-wise, we're looking at 40 degrees right now. Very dry air, 17, and you can look behind and see the live camera view there. Lots of clouds, so overcast, and we're likely going to see those temperatures just kind of sit around in the lower to mid-40s. We had our numbers up to about 48, 49, but again, that's suspect now as those clouds have moved in. So count on 40s all through the afternoon, and late this evening is when we'll start focusing on the chance for some light showers that will pass across the tri-state, Ryan, overnight.
All right, Sherry, thank you. Well, cleanup continues today after the recent flooding of the Ohio River, but there is some progress. Students at Riverview East Academy returned to classes in their own building today. It had been closed and students were in another building until the water below the school dried. The school is built on stilts. Cincinnati Schools also inspected the building and gave it a good cleaning before this morning. A new storm is targeting the Midwest and the Northeast. It's heading right for the areas already hit hard over the weekend. At least 9 people were killed and thousands are still without power. ABC's Maggie Ruley has the story.
A new massive storm system stretching from the Canadian border to the Gulf of Mexico is marching across the country. It's already blanketed the West and up to 2 feet of snow in some places, with driving conditions quickly turning dangerous.
Probably overly cautious. I'm always the slow driver in the right lane when it's snowing out.
Now it's taking aim for the Midwest and Northeast, threatening high winds, coastal flooding, and up to a foot of snow in the exact same areas that are still recovering from Friday's deadly nor'easter.
It's horrible. It looks like a war zone.
The wind was really scary, so it was a bad one.
Hundreds of thousands are still without power.
There has not been an outage of this magnitude since Sandy.
From Virginia to Massachusetts, the storm's hurricane-force wind gusts downed power lines and toppled trees.
The restoration during this storm has been extremely painstakingly difficult because of downed trees, blocking roads, impassable roads. It has slowed down a lot of the activity.
In hard-hit coastal Massachusetts, flooding and powerful surf ripped homes off their foundations. They're now bracing for another round. The National Weather Service is expecting this storm to turn into another full-blown nor'easter, and they're not taking any chances. They've already issued a winter storm watch for the majority of the Northeast from Tuesday night through Wednesday. Maggie Bruley, ABC News, New York.
New at noon, emergency crews were called to Union Terminal this morning because of what's been described as an industrial accident. Reporter Tom McKee was on the scene. He says it happened at the construction site at Dalton and Hopkins. Investigators say a piece of equipment fell on him, but his injuries are not life-threatening. Well, today is the deadline for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, but deportations may not start right away. That's because there are court orders forcing the White House to continue renewing DACA permits until further notice. And a Senate attempt to pass bipartisan legislation on immigration has failed. And since then, Congress has backed off the issue.
I have no social assistance. I'm paying out of my own pocket. I have an occupation as a sign language interpreter. I pay taxes. From the day I started working to, as we speak, present day, I've been giving back.
DACA advocates warn many may find themselves in limbo where renewal applications may not be completed before current protections expire. But White House officials have said deporting dreamers will not be a priority. Coming up, strike on. After it seemed like a deal would send West Virginia students back to class, that deal has fallen through. The vote that has teachers still walking the line. And 53 years later, hundreds marched to remember what it took to give the civil rights movement traction.